You're watching Darrell J. Bennett Live. I'm so excited to be with you, and I can't wait to help you live a higher, more prosperous, more powerful, and more purpose-filled life. Let me tell you about myself. I'm Darrell J. Bennett. I wrote my first book at 18 years old. I started my first company at 21, and I graduated from Harvard Law School at 24. I know how to help people move into another stratosphere of destiny, to operate at a higher level. And that's what I'm here to help you do. Your life is never going to be the same again. Welcome back to Darrell J. Bennett Live. I am Darrell J. Bennett. Today we're going to talk about something that is hot button in the news. And I want to connect it to an issue that I've been talking about for a while. And now since it's in the news, now since it's in top of mind with people, let's have a conversation about it. So what we're going to talk about, and we're going to watch a video, is Danilo Cavalcunte. You know, the one in Pennsylvania that escaped from the prison, and it's now day 8 as I'm recording this, and they're looking for him, and they said they got 100 investigators scouring everywhere to go get him. Well, since we're talking about prisons and people being locked up for life, and we're talking about security, which obviously wasn't in place, and talking about the overcrowding of prisons, because if it wasn't an overcrowding issue, then maybe the folks that were watching him would have been able to watch him better. Let's have a conversation about it. Let me start with the fact that this is both a prison and a youth center. Let me pull up the picture, because I don't want y'all to think I'm just saying it just to say it. Let me pull up the picture, y'all. Give me a second. For my folks who are watching, you're able to see it. If you're listening to this podcast, thank you for listening, but I would encourage you to watch it as well if you get a chance, so you see that I'm not making this up. This is the picture that shows as you're coming in, Chester County Correctional Complex and Youth Center. I want to start with that because everybody talks about protecting children and the least of these. All right, so let's start with that context. How many children we have in cages around this country? And we really don't talk about that. We don't talk about the fact that the government and prosecutors love to talk about protecting the least of these when it helps them get a conviction, but then they'll call the same least of these super predators, and some are as young as 11 years old, that are in places like this. Let me be very clear. So let me just step back and say, if we are afraid of what Danilo may do now that he's escaped, and they're saying that he's convicted of killing his girlfriend, and God bless her soul, and we certainly don't condone bad acts by anybody. So anybody that's hearing me, you should know from a spiritual level that we don't glory in bad acts. But what we do want is there to be truth in the inward parts. Let's talk about it. Let's not just act as though these complexes or facilities are just housing adults who've done bad things. It's also youth. That's the first place I want to start, because I don't think there's enough attention that goes to the hundreds of and there are hundreds of thousands of youth who are in cages around this country. And when I say cages, I'm talking about locked up in some aspect of the penal system that really have just gone under the radar. So I want to start with that. The second thing I want to draw your attention to in this picture is the third word, Chester County Correctional Complex. Correctional Complex. Now let me step back. He's been there for a while. So if this is a correctional facility, theoretically, he should be better now than when he came in. But that's not how they're treating this. They're saying, well, he's escaped and he might try to kill again. So what does that say about our correctional system? See, I think we've got to talk about it. And words are important. I mean, those of you that know my story, you know that this is part of what I help people do. Use their words to be more effective and to have more impact. Words are important. What we call things are important. If it's a correctional complex, we need to be having a discussion, not just about how they keep inmates there,
But we need to be having a discussion about what are the correctional processes, methodologies, programs, and philosophies, and I would dare to say pedagogies that are in place that are helping people become better. Because while he may have received a life sentence, and he may not have ever seen the light of day again had it, things gone the way that the sentence was laid out, there are many people who are here that will see the light of day. Is there actual correction that's happening? So that would be that. I think we've got to start there before we make it about Danilo Cavalcunte and him running and him escaping and trying to relitigate a case that's obviously been litigated, and what he perhaps did in Brazil and what he was convicted of here in America. I think we've got to talk about the system as a whole. And this is how, if I could just say, this is how this beast has only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, because we focus on individual people, individual bad acts, and we sort of miss the larger picture. So do you notice that through all of this discussion about him escaping over the 8 days, it's a large amount of discussion about how he escaped, about what he did in Brazil, about what he was convicted of here in America. But what you do not hear anything about is what type of correctional work was being done with him. Was there any? It's a correctional complex.